Hello, logic class. Lesson 55, types of definitions. Let's do a bit of review before we get started. So last class we did, there's CJ. Hey, say hi to CJ. Say hi to CJ. Say hi. Okay. Go back to your movie. Watch your movie. Yeah. Hubby, Daddy, done soon, okay? Soon. Alright. Anyway, types of definitions, rules for definitions. Sorry, we back up. Today we're doing types of definitions, but for review, in our last class, lesson 54, we looked at the rules for definitions. Okay, so rule number one is, as much as possible, the definition should contain the essential primary characteristics, not secondary characteristics of a term. Okay, that's rule number one. What's rule number two? Shout it out. Definitions should not be circular. Don't define the word using the word itself. So you don't, when you're defining the word poor, you don't say someone who is poor, right? Rule number three, definitions should not be too broad or too narrow. Not too broad, not too narrow. Number four, what is it? Definitions should prefer positive comparisons to negative comparisons. So you don't say a house is a building that is not a barn. Okay? Number five, definitions should be clear. Make them clear, right? Number six, definitions should avoid emotive language. Don't use language that emotionally manipulates. Okay? Number seven, definitions should define terms as the correct part of speech. Don't switch the part of speech in your definition. Okay? Lesson 55, here we go. Let's go through it quickly, all right? Save you guys some time today, how about? Lesson 55, there is four types of definitions that we're learning today. Number one is a lexical definition. What is a lexical definition? It is a dictionary definition. And some of you are thinking, well, what other kind do you need? That's all you need, right? It's a dictionary. Get your definition, you're good to go. Dictionaries are a great place to start when it comes to definitions. However, a dictionary can't possibly cover all the nuances of all the definitions of a single word. Why not? Because dictionaries are limited in space, right? Usually you only have a small section in the dictionary to define a single word. Some words could probably use several pages to define them correctly. There's so many different ways you can define words, right? So a dictionary, as wonderful as they are, they're not going to get every little nook and cranny, so to speak, of the different kinds of definitions a word could have. Okay? Number two is a theoretical definition. And that is a definition proposed by a certain school of thought. So, let's take the word meditate, right? The word meditate. Now, depending what kind of person you are or what you believe, that word could have different meanings. Now, there are some people, Christians in particular, who are very suspicious of the word meditate. If I would tell somebody like that I was meditating this morning, well, not just that kind of person. A lot of people would be like, ooh, what were you doing? You're one of those weird people that does that, right? But it depends if you use that word meditate, it depends what worldview you have, what religion you are, okay? To show you what you, or to show the people that you're talking to what meaning you are assigning to that word. So, if I said I was meditating this morning, if I'm a Christian, probably what that means is I was reading my Bible and I was thinking really, really hard about what it means, what those verses mean that I was reading. I wasn't going through them too fast. I wasn't just reading the Bible for the sake of reading it. I was reading it slowly, and I was contemplating every word. I was taking my time, maybe praying and asking God to help me understand what this means. And I was reflecting on what I was reading. I was meditating. That's pretty much what it means to a Christian when they say they were meditating. There are some Christians that don't even hardly want to use that word because they think it's suspicious. But if you mean it that way, that's not a bad thing, right? Meditating on the Bible, meditating on the Word of God is a good thing. Spending time, going slow, thinking carefully about what you're reading. Read a verse and spend about 5 minutes just sitting there thinking about that verse. That's meditating, and that's a good kind of meditation, right? However, if you're an Eastern mystic or somebody that's into yoga or something like that, and you say you were meditating, that means something completely different, right? Maybe you were in some kind of a weird position with your eyes closed, trying to empty your mind of all thoughts, right? That's a completely different kind of meditation. It just depends on what belief system that person has. So a theoretical definition is a definition proposed by a certain school of thought. So it depends what kind of philosophical leanings you have, what kind of theological leanings, what kind of camp you're in, what kind of belief systems you have. That's going to affect how you theoretically define words. A precising definition is number 3. Precising. Precising reduces ambiguity and shows how a word is used in the world. Okay? Now this is just, again, getting rid of ambiguity so that you can show people what you mean. For instance, how would you define the word poor? And when I say poor, I'm talking about people that don't have a lot of money, right? But what does that mean? What does it mean to be poor? If you live in the United States and you are in the category of, I can't think of what like the lowest income bracket, you're kind of considered to be poor. But does that mean that you're living in the woods in a tent, scrounging for food? No. What does it mean? Some people say we're poor. Well, maybe that means they only have one vehicle, right? Maybe it means they can't afford cable TV. Maybe it means they have a much smaller house, like a 1,200 square foot house or something like that, right? To some people, that would be being poor. But what is the true definition of poverty or being poor? That's what I was trying to think of earlier. The poverty line, right? In the United States, people who are under the poverty line, a lot of them still live relatively good lives. They have a lot of things compared to people in other countries that are truly living in poverty. So to some people, being poor, sorry, my phone is ringing. To some people, being poor means you're under the poverty line. To some people, being poor means you literally have to scrounge for food every day. Right? So, what do you mean when you say the word poor? Or cold? What do you mean when you say the word cold? Do you mean that you're shivering a little bit? Do you need to put on a jacket? Or do you mean that you're like on the edge of hypothermia? Right? That's where precising definitions come in. Precising definitions are very important in the world of crime. So if you look at law books have to be extremely precise. What is a certain kind of crime? What does it mean to, let's see, to harass somebody? What does it mean to harass someone? We'll just take that word harass. Some people use the word harass when somebody's picking on somebody and, just, just being funny or maybe mocking them in a lighthearted way, just kind of being funny, Stop harassing me, right? On the other hand, when somebody uses the word harass, they mean that they are literally, like, maybe physically threatening that person or manipulating them in such a way that is messing with their brain and their mind and is hurting them deeply. Okay, so criminal people that write up the criminal code, they have to make very precise definitions about what constitutes a certain kind of crime and what doesn't, so that they can give, what they would see as the appropriate punishment for the crime, right? Okay, precising. And then you have stipulative definitions. Stipulative is a definition that is created on the spot to add more clarity. So this is times when you almost have to make up a word, maybe, you make up a definition on the spot in order, because you can't maybe come up with exactly the right word to portray what you're trying to get across. Another time that precising definitions are used is when a new term comes along. So something like the word typewriter, right? Before typewriters were invented, we didn't need the word typewriter. If somebody would have come up to you and said, I have a typewriter, you'd been like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Same thing with words like text messaging or photobomb. If you would have used the word photobomb like 50 years ago, people would have been like, what do you mean, bombed you with photos? Or, yeah, you know what I mean? So anyway, different words have precising definitions, right? I'm sorry, stipulative definitions. When we come up with new terms, we have to give them a definition, okay? So anyway, those are the different kinds of terms. Let's quickly go to pages. Your homework is to read pages 261 to 264 and to answer questions on 265 through 267. So let's just quickly go through a few of those and just to give you a heads up on how to do it. This isn't too hard, but you have to kind of use your head and think hard on these, okay? You have to write some definitions, okay? Now, I don't mind if you use the dictionary to help you if you're kind of struggling with where to even start. If you use a dictionary or you look it up online or whatever to help you get started. But I want this definition to be your definition, basically in your words, all right? So, page 265, the first section is define, and basically all you're doing is giving the definitions of the different kinds of definitions, right? So you can do that. So go ahead and do that section. Pause the video and go ahead and do that section, and then start it up again, and I'm going to help you with number 1 on the bottom of page 65, okay? So 1, 2, 3, pause. All right, good to go? Okay. So on examine, section called examine at the bottom of page 265, it says examining theoretical definitions. When people create theoretical definitions, they propose definitions that capture the essence of a word or concept. As you can imagine, sometimes this is very tricky to do and can lead to a lot of controversy, depending if you're from Britain or the United States. As you can imagine, I already read that. Especially when people propose different theoretical definitions for the same word. In the following exercise, you will see several words for which people have proposed various theoretical definitions over the years. For this exercise, pretend you are a philosopher or specialist who is attempting to create a theoretical definition that captures the essence of the word. In the space provided, write at least 2 different definitions for the word that demonstrate 2 different theoretical perspectives. Okay? So basically, you're supposed to give 2 different theoretical definitions, 2 different definitions coming at it from 2 different perspectives. All right, so I'm going to read the examples that they give for number 1, and you can go ahead and copy these. I'll let you do that for number 1, all right, to give you an example to work off of. So how would you define an educated person? Here's some different theoretical definition options. You could say an educated person is a person who knows all the great works and ideas of his culture. Again, I don't care if you want to go ahead and use these examples. An educated person is a person who knows all the great works and ideas of his culture. So who would give that kind of definition? Who would give that kind of definition? Maybe somebody who's kind of a cultural expert, maybe a historian, maybe an artist, or somebody who is interested in how art impacts culture, right? So that would be the kind of definition that person would give. Another example could be an educated person is a person who has all the basic facts, skills, and habits she needs for life. This would come from more of a pragmatist, somebody who thinks basically what you need is, reading, writing, arithmetic. You need the basic things in life so that you can function and make money and get a good job and so forth. That's kind of a pragmatic view of life, and that's the kind of a pragmatic definition, right? And they do 4 definitions, and I'm just going to go ahead and give you all of them. You only have to write down 2 if you want, but just as some examples. All right. Number 3, an educated person is a person who can think well. Okay. So who would give that kind of a definition? Somebody like Mr. Roth, right? A philosopher, somebody who likes to think and think hard. So that's kind of a philosophical definition. And the last one, an educated person is a person who is creative and can solve problems. So what kind of a person would give that kind of a definition? Maybe an economist, or an engineer, or some kind of an entrepreneurial type of person that wants problem solvers in their organization. Right? Okay. So those are different kinds of theoretical definitions. So go ahead and do that. And again, you need to put 2 different ones down, at least 2. You can do more than that if you want. At least 2 different definitions down for each one. Obscenity, green, and again, this is as it applies to products considered environmentally sound. Okay? It's not the color green, it's like being a green person who loves plants and trees and stuff like that, right? Okay? And justice. What kind of definitions for the word justice? Okay? In the section called Explore, you have to write some precising definitions. So go ahead and do that as well. All right? I'm not going to give you any on that because it's kind of hard the way they have it set up. So I'm just going to let you go ahead and do your best. Put thought into it. Do your best. Again, please make sure you get your homework handed in. Please. Okay? Sounds good. I hope you have a fantastic day.